as I begin to wrap up, I'd like you just to review your notes and look back on, the last couple of days that the messages that you've seen. You learned on selling ultimate sets and signature sets, selling to Cutco owners. Lindsay talked about keys to a successful summer. And then Sam Pollisner wrapped us up yesterday with closing percentage and dropping down. You obviously had the roundtables that you all experienced. So do a little bit of reflection. Just write down your 3 biggest takeaways or tips that you learned. Write down 2 action steps that you will take in the next 24 hours. And then 1 commitment that you want to make moving forward. Okay, maybe that commitment is a certain number of names to add to your list. Maybe that commitment is, a certain number of phone calls that you're going to make every single week. Katie talked about 100 calls a week. It's 20 a day. Maybe for you, it's not 100, but maybe it's 60. Maybe it's committing to 3 days a week, 20 calls each day. Maybe a commitment that you want to make is you want to win an All-American scholarship this summer. Or maybe achieve K-Club as Lindsay did. And actually, I think Lindsay said she sold 18 weeks in a row over $1,000. Feel free to drop your biggest takeaways in the chat, the biggest tips that you learned at this event. And actually feel free to drop, action steps or commitments as well. And what I really want to ask you to do is to text your manager. Text your manager, hey, these were my biggest takeaways. These are action steps I want to be held accountable to. And here's a commitment that I want to make moving forward. I'm going to talk about what's next for you here. And quite literally what's next is our SC1 conference. And this is our first summer conference. SC1 stands for Summer Conference 1. And you can see the dates here. The Gateway, Frontier, Big Sky, and Skyway divisions come up first, June 11th and 12th. Intermountain, Chicago, Lakeshore, Northwoods, the 14th and 15th. And then North Star is the last SC1 event, which is June 21st and 22nd. Some of you are already signed up for this event, which is fantastic. I highly, highly recommend signing up for that today. These events are going to be bigger. The division managers will all be speaking at these events. And this is really what sets up, I'm going to tell you, not only your summer and your SC2 push and things that happen this year, but SC1 is really the kickoff to our entire next 12 months. And the people that are at SC1 and learn the most at SC1 are often those that become assistant managers and even branch and district managers this next summer. So again, if that's something that you'll be considering or even curious about, SC1 is the place to really begin to learn what that might look like for you. Okay, so sign up on Vector Connect today or talk to your manager about how to get signed up for that. All right, what's next to create momentum? I'm going to walk through 4 quick steps for you on creating momentum for yourself leaving this event. Okay, we heard a lot of great messages, but how can you maximize what you've learned and turn it into immediate results? And I'm going to talk about these 4 things. Have a target, know your whys, creating a plan, and then continuing or keeping learning. Always keep learning. Before I jump into that, I want to introduce 2 simple concepts. I'm sure these are not new to you, but talk about 2 simple concepts called growth and gratitude. And this is how I want you to approach this summer. And actually not just this summer, but each day, each demo, and actually your life is growth and gratitude. Because it's my belief that if you forgot everything else and just made sure to keep growth and gratitude at the forefront of your thinking, of your actions, and of your approach to situations, to your job, to your relationships, these 2 concepts are the ones that kind of set the stage for everything else. Okay. I'm certainly not saying that what I just mentioned doesn't matter and what I'll talk about doesn't matter. Having a target, whys, a plan, a commitment to continued learning, those things really matter. But focusing on your self-growth and what you're grateful for are the things that are going to make all the rest of it a lot easier. So grow yourself. This is about all the ways that you're getting better, right? Improving your life, your health, your skills, your relationships, your finances, your spirituality, even. And then gratitude, that's about being grateful for what you already have. And there's so much that we have to be grateful for. I want you to jot down right now 3 or 4 or 5 things in your life that you can be grateful for right now in this moment. You're going to experience a myriad of emotions with this job. Some good, some not so good. Especially if you're inspired by what you heard these last couple of days and you want to up your game. Anytime you try to do something more, better, or differently than you ever have before, you're going to experience some positive emotions, certainly, but also some that aren't so positive. Gratitude is an emotion that can wash away negative emotions like fear, like anxiety, stress, anger. So taking time each day to focus on gratitude is something that's really going to help you. And we really do have so much to be grateful for, where we were lucky enough to be born, this country, the opportunities that we have, this job that we have and share, the people that we're surrounded by, both in and out of Vector, the gifts and skills and talents that we possess, the love in our lives. But what can you be grateful for right now? And then with growth, here's 3 simple and easy steps to start when it comes to growth. Because growth, especially personal growth, is not a concept that you may have heard of or at least focused on before coming to Vector. And so where to start with growth is number 1, just to identify what you really want. And then even more importantly than that, and you've heard so many people talk about this throughout the last couple of days, is why you want it. And by the way, your manager can really help you dive deep on this, on figuring out what it is that you want and why you want it, if you need help with that. Number 2 is to get the tools and coaching that you need. Well, you've got that here. You've got your managers, you've got assistant managers, you've got each other, right? You have other reps, you have Vector Connect messages, you have events like this. And so you can get help with these first 2 very, very easily within Vector. The third thing is to follow through and hold yourself accountable. This is the one that most often of the 3 stops people up because they don't follow through or they don't hold themselves accountable. Now, your manager can help with this. And some of you have experienced your manager holding you accountable, holding your feet to the fire on things you said you wanted and things you said you were going to do. But at the end of the day, it really needs to be yourself that's holding you accountable. So those first 2, really easy to get at Vector. The third one's available to you, but you got to be the person that sticks with it and holds yourself accountable. This is a photo of the Earth as seen from the moon. Obviously, a different perspective than we are used to here on our planet. And your perspective has likely been changed at this event or since you started selling Cutco. The last couple of days, you've heard some big ideas and you've been exposed to numbers that you may not have before, some big sales numbers in terms of pushes, in terms of summer, in terms of career sales, and what can be created. And the question I have for you is, why can't that be you? Why not you? Why can't you create that big summer, that big push? Humanity for years gazed up at the moon and never dreamed that anybody would reach it. And then, a group of people, famously, John F. Kennedy in his inaugural address said, by the end of this decade, we will land a man on the moon. And they achieved it. In 1969, the United States landed a man on the moon. And posthumously, unfortunately for JFK, but they achieved it. It was because they had a target. And so that's really my first point here in maintaining momentum. And what's next for you is have a target for yourself. Okay, so first of all, have a sales-focused target or goal. All right, maybe that's a sales number for you. Selling 30,000 or 40,000 or 50,000 plus, maybe 70,000, like Sam did in his first summer. Maybe it's something as simple as achieving President's Club. Maybe this is a part-time job for you, and you want to learn and you want to grow. But those huge sales numbers aren't really something you're looking for. But hey, if I could sell 10 grand this summer and win a letter from the president as basically a recommendation letter for any future job or activity that I want to do or go after, That could be great for you. Maybe it's achieving K Club. Lindsay talked about hitting 10, I think it was 8 weeks in a row over 2K, but 18 and officially winning K Club over $1,000. By the way, 10 weeks in a row is where you win that. 10 weeks in a row over 1,000. Maybe you want to be an All-American, win an All-American scholarship, or we also have a team builder All-American program where by introducing other people to the job, you can actually become an All-American as well. So have a sales focused target, but then also have a development, I'm going to call it development in the business target. Do you want to earn an assistant manager promotion? Do you want to be inducted into Leadership Academy? Okay, throughout the summer, we'll be inducting many newer reps and assistant managers into our Leadership Academy, where people learn not just how to become a manager, but they learn about leadership skills and life skills that will help them here, but also help them in the future. Or maybe you want to set yourself up to become a branch or district manager, or even a CSP, a Cutco sales professional. So have a development target, and then also have a personal growth goal. What are the ways in which you intend to grow this summer? And what I want you to consider is just being open to possibility. Be open to possibility as you set your targets. Certainly be open to something bigger than you might not have expected at first. And so the next time you sit down with your manager, tell them, hey, during the meeting, Kyle Smith asked me to be open to something bigger than I expected. Can you help me figure out a target or figure out a goal that is bigger, better than I really could have imagined when I started this thing? Because what I'll tell you is you were open to something kind of weird when you accepted this job. This is the ad basically that I replied to in 2002 when I started selling Cutco. Right? It said summer work, $14.75 base appointment. I think you all get paid more than that now per appointment. But this was the ad that I responded to. And all of you in one form or another replied to a text or a message or maybe an ad that you saw or a post that you saw on social media where it advertised or the manager that reached out to you advertised, a pay rate. And that was pretty much all you really knew about the job. And that was all I knew about the job when I called to find out about summer work. And so you were open to that, and now you're here. For me, this has been a nearly 20-year journey. Next June, so a little over a year from now, I'll hit 20 years, and all because I was open to a kind of a weird knife selling job, as all of you were as well. And so continue to be open. And what I want you to be open to is being greater than you ever thought you could be. In sales this summer, be open to something greater than you might have been planning for. Also be open to a future here, not a commitment, just openness to the possibility of branch or district or CSP. Be open to what this experience can also launch you into in the future. Yesterday, Mike, our region manager, talked about your dream job. He asked you, what's your dream job? Well, what are the ways in which your experience this summer can launch you towards that dream job or help you take your first actions towards that dream job? A few of you yesterday talked about wanting to start your own business. What are the things this summer that are going to help you move towards that or move towards your dream? So have a target. Secondly is know your whys. There's 4 basic categories of whys I really strongly recommend that you dive deep on. And number 1 is your financial whys. Okay. So, and by the way, there's certainly more categories that you could come up with. Jacob talked about coming up with 50 whys. Okay. And by the way, there's a lot within these 4 categories that you could write down, but have an income goal underneath the financial whys. Have a savings goal. What do you want to save this summer? Maybe there's something that you want to purchase or get for yourself with the income that you make. Maybe it's a trip that you want to take. Maybe you want to buy a car. All right. Maybe you want to finance your education or pay off some debt. For some, Jacob also talked about, purchasing his own home this year at I think the age of 23. Casey Fenlon, someone else that already purchased his own home at the age of 23. Really exciting things can happen financially for people with this job. So have a financial why. Other side of that could be, hey, if buying things for yourself or money doesn't motivate you, what if you donated it? What's a charity or philanthropy you're passionate about where you could make some money and then donate a big chunk of that to a charity or philanthropy? So financial why. Number two is advancement within the company. And I talked about this, but how can you set yourself up to promote yourself to a greater position of leadership? And then also advancement outside of Vector. We just talked about that. How can you set yourself up for your future dream job? Number three is skill development and personal growth. We've talked about that. And number four, what whys can you associate with your goals on how you're going to impact others? Think about within Vector, the reps you'll impact, the customers that you'll impact, but also think about the ripple effect that'll have outside of Vector. Think about the effect that you'll have on family and friends. When you set a goal for yourself that's challenging, work really, really hard to achieve it, and then there's no way you could overestimate the impact that you're going to have on people if you do that. So know your whys. Third is to create a plan. I would screenshot this, and then I would sit down with your manager and do this as soon as possible. I'm going to ask that you get it done by the end of Tuesday. But sit down with your manager to do a few things. Create your summer outcomes. What am I going after? Why am I going after it? A schedule for success, and then a plan for skill development. So schedule for success, make sure it has a number of demos per week you're committed to. Make sure it has a number of phone calls per week that you're committed to. And then, as KC talked about, a number of chicken list names to add. I don't know if he referenced that exact phrase, but these are the people that and you could do a demo for, but you've just been afraid to either write them down, get their number, or maybe you have their number and you've been afraid to call them so far. And I can tell you this from personal experience, because I had a lot of people on my initial list that I didn't reach out to because I didn't know them well enough, or I thought they might say no, or I thought they wouldn't buy. A lot of those people, other reps on my team ended up doing demos for and selling to. Don't let that happen to you. So how many chicken list names can you add? And then your plan for skill development, that's like, what do I want to improve about my business? Is it my closing percentage, right? Is it my average order? Again, is it my names list? Am I just being a baby, a wimp about my names list, and I just need to make a commitment to get to 100? But talk to your manager about your plan for skill development. And then finally here, keep learning. And this is something my father taught me from a very young age. And he always tried to instill in me is never stop learning, or learn something new every single day. And your commitment to continuing to learn, by the way, all of you are here at this meeting, so that proves to me and proves to your manager that you are committed to learning. But in what ways can you continue to keep that commitment to learning moving forward? Number one, Champions Club. Make a commitment to yourself and to your manager. I'm going to attend X number of Champions Clubs per week. Lindsay talked yesterday about how she never missed one. I think when I really pressed her one-on-one, she said, I think maybe 2 or 3 the entire summer. I'm not asking you to do that, although some of you may want to, but I'm saying, how many can you commit to per week? Is it 2? Is it 3? Is it more? But committing to being a Champions Club to learn, and of course, set up more appointments. Attending all events, every event that your division and our region holds, you should be at. Talking to your manager or your coach, if it's an assistant, every day, and making sure you get a PC every week. Listening to Vector Connect talks, reaching out. A lot of people have talked about these things. And the last thing is reading and journaling. So, Katie talked about reading 50 to 100 books. Man, how about one book? Can you read one book in the next month that is helping you improve yourself personally or professionally? And what this learning boils down to is what I started this message with, which is growth. And so here are the final things I'll leave you with. The ways that you can grow this summer are threefold as I see it. Number one is to grow your mind. You do this by listening to podcasts. You do this by reading. You also do this by continuing to practice your craft. The more demos you do, the better you're going to get at it. You can also, outside of Vector, learn a new sport or a new skill. Maybe pick up a musical instrument. that you've never played or one that you used to play and you want to pick back up and get better at. But continuing to use your mind and develop your mind is going to help you in so many different ways within the business and outside of it. Learn new professional skills, develop your leadership, and just be open to what new and exciting thing you can learn each day. Secondly, grow your body. Jacob also talked about this. This is really important. Your nutrition, the amount of water that you're getting every day, your sleep, not only the amount of sleep, but the quality of your sleep. Are you working out? And by the way, if you're not a person that ever works out, just go for a walk every day to start. It's a great start. If you're already somebody that works out, keep doing what you're doing. If it's lifting, if it's swimming, if it's running, if it's biking, but continue to expand your capacity and get outside your comfort zone, whatever your current level of fitness is. And then lastly, grow your spirit. And this is really, I see this as two things. There's definitely a religious side of spirituality, but then to me, there's also a relationship side of spirituality. I'm not going to get into religion at all. If that's your thing, awesome. If it's not, that's fine too. But what I want to talk about is the relationship side of spirituality. So grow in your relationships with others. What are the most important relationships in your life that you need to nurture? Maybe it's a parent, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a significant other. But what's one small action step you can take in each of those important relationships in your life? Identify one in each of the most important relationships. And guess what? Take that action today. If it's a note, if it's a call, just say, hey, I appreciate you. I love you. I'm grateful for you. It goes a long way. And then lastly, your relationship with yourself. Your relationship with yourself is the most important relationship that you have. So give yourself some time to sit in silence every day. Get away from the phone, get away from the screen, and sit in silence. Maybe it's in prayer, maybe it's in meditation, maybe it's just in sitting and closing your eyes and breathing for a couple minutes. But just give yourself the space to reconnect to your spiritual side. And if you don't know how to do that, go back to what I started with again on gratitude. Focus on gratitude. Last two things here. Number one, remember to be present. It's great to have goals. It's great to be going after big things, but remember to be present in the moment. People often connote charisma with success in sales and business, but the real secret, the hidden secret, is that the most present people that are in the moment seem to have the most charisma because they're there in the moment, paying attention to others, listening, engaging. So make sure to stay present. And then lastly, be you. Listen, you've heard a lot of really awesome tips and tricks of how to approach the business. Definitely implement those and add them to your arsenal as you approach this summer. But the greatest gift you can give is your best and truest self. I think you noticed a really wide array of personalities as we listened to these talks the last couple of days. And that's awesome. Your personality is also different than all of those. If you were giving a talk at this event or maybe at a future event, it's going to be different than anyone that shared today, and that's beautiful. So be boldly and unapologetically you is what I can say. That doesn't mean to do it without any remorse for how people respond, right? Be kind also, as Katie talked about, but be authentic and be real and be yourself. And if you do that, you're going to create the success that you want and that you deserve this summer.